Good morning. This is the BLAINESWORLD podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and to get more information and listen to previous shows on our website, www.blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield. I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information of people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce my two guests today, and they are Travis Lowe and Jason Williams. And you can feel free to wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. So if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can wave or say hello. If not, you can catch us on Spotify. At any rate, this week, I'm kind of really excited about doing a show, an upcoming show called Recycled Nuts. And that's a show that Travis wrote. It's going to be at Hart. Which theater at Hart? It's the Fagmeyer? It's the newer theater, right?
Yes,
yeah,
it's the Fangmeyer Theater.
Fangmeyer, okay, at Hart. And opens, actually it opens, let's see, tomorrow night. And I guess before we go into the show itself, I've had the pleasure of interviewing Jason before on the show. But the first time I've actually had Travis on the show. And so, Travis, if you can give kind of your background, and I guess we'll try to keep it under 35 minutes, just the background. But essentially, you're a playwright, you're an actor, among other things. Have you always been in theater?
I started acting when I was about 12 years old in community theaters in the Atlanta area. And when I moved up here, I got involved in Montford Park Players back in, I guess, 2007, and then slowly branched out into other theaters around town acting. And then I began playwriting shortly after playing a role in a Montford Park Players piece with Jason. Actually, we were in Richard III together, and I took a little break from that, started writing my own plays for friends to perform around town and elsewhere, and it's really snowballed from there. And now I think I'm more of a writer than an actor. So
now, you were talking, you grew up in Atlanta. Do you remember the first play you were ever in?
The first play I was ever in, wow, that was before I was 12 years old. I was the littlest angel in kindergarten. Yeah, so
because I've shared this idea, I think, with Jason and others. But I have this great idea, Travis. I want everybody to recreate their very first role, like a fundraiser for Heart, for example. So, in other words, when you were a little kid, when you did that role, is there a record of that anywhere?
Oh no, I hope not.
No, wouldn't that be
my
great?
big entrance was having I guess it was a halo of sorts rolling down the center aisle of the theater up to the stage, and me chasing it, and with little gold wings on, which is very comedic now, especially if you know me personally. That's I think that would be hilarious to recreate.
I just think, especially, with the wings and coming down the aisle, and that'd be great as a fundraiser, that everybody would recreate their first role. And I'll come back to you, but same thing too. I forgot, I once asked that to Jason as well. Do you remember your first role, Jason?
Well, I mean, technically, I think my first role was as like Shepherd #2 in like the Vacation Bible School show or something. But I mean, the first thing that I actually remember, honestly, I didn't get into doing theater until I was older, like in my 20s. But my first role was the police officer in the Three Penny Opera.
Okay.
Oh wow!
So remember that one. And so then, Jason, I've known you, I guess, as both an actor. I mean, amazing background you have as an actor, but also a director, also a lighting guy. Do you have a preference as to all the different kinds of things? Do you enjoy anything the most?
Well, I like acting the most.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
For me, it's what got me into theater. This is what I still like the most. Even though I like directing, obviously. And lighting design's all right.
It's funny you say that, though, because I'll ask a lot of actors, and they oftentimes say directing. And the real truth, Travis, is that we don't have to memorize the lines, so that, I suppose an actor,
Yeah,
you know,
one would think so.
we're accepting, I don't know if either, have you guys ever had to, were you ever directing and then get called in to do the play as well? Have you ever had to do that, last minute?
Travis, you want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, if the question is about directing, I've never directed before, so I would throw that over to you. But in the case of this particular production, I wrote it, and due to an emergency circumstance, I had to step in for one of the, well, I should say two of the roles, because there's 4 actors in it. All the roles are doubled into 8 characters, so I had to step in as 2 of those characters. And sort of relearn all the lines that I wrote. And it's been a very interesting experience and very fun, really.
Well, because I was going to ask you, so this, you've never directed then, this, you're acting?
I have never directed, and it's not something I care to get into. I think that's I'll leave that responsibility up to the talented people like Jason. Yeah.
Well, and Jason, same thing too. Did you ever direct a play, but at the last minute have to step in and act in it also?
Yes, I've directed several plays, especially at Montford, where somebody might drop out. Actually, the first play I directed at Montford, Love's Labour's Lost, the character playing King Ferdinand, the actor playing King Ferdinand dropped out with like 2 weeks left. So the only choice was I go on and do it. And it was fun. But yeah, it happens a couple of times.
And Jason, I'll ask you, in terms of having to act as well, have you ever acted in your other plays as well?
At Montford, usually when I direct at Montford, if it's a big cast, I'll put myself in there somewhere. Like in Peter Pan, I was one of the pirates. In Troilus and Cressida, I was who was I? I was one of the Greeks. Yeah.
And Travis, I'm sorry, the same thing, Travis, too, in terms of, I've seen you act and I've seen you direct. I don't know if I've seen you do both. Have you had to do both in the past?
Act and direct, or
yeah, act and direct, or act in a play that you didn't, like this one, you didn't think you'd be acting in. Have you ever had to do that before?
I have stepped into some roles in plays very late in the process before, with 1 or 2 weeks to go before opening, to sort of help out. And those have been actually very rewarding. None of them have been roles as big as this one, though. And so in terms of stepping into a play that I wrote, this is the first time that's ever happened. And I don't know. I don't know whether I should say I hope it doesn't happen again, but I'm having a great time doing it.
How many weeks did you find this out that you were going to have to jump into the role?
It was just about 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think we were 2 weeks out, basically.
So they're pretty into rehearsals at that point in time.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's tough. Talk to me a little bit about then the play itself. Love the title, Recycled Nuts. If you can, Travis, kind of read us just summary of it without giving away too much.
Oh, so it takes place on an almond farm. It's a farce, and it's sort of an amped up farce. Like I said, I'm sort of playing with the trope of farce by doubling every actor into 2 characters. So that's a large part of it. But it's very hard to give away the plot, or to tell the plot without giving away too many spoilers. But let's just say it's a ghost farce, and I'm going to be bold enough to say it's probably at least in the top 2 ghost farces about haunted almond farms that you'll see all year. I mean, there's no reason to be modest. That's just a fact.
Okay, that I'm trying to think. The last ghost farm and Farmer movie I've seen or show, but not lately. So how did you come up with the idea for the play?
I did want to challenge myself to write a farce, and I wanted to write something about enjoying the life you have while you have it. So that naturally led to comedy, and as a genre, farce has been sort of a guilty pleasure for me. It's often sometimes by some people it's looked down on as a comedic style, yet it's very difficult to pull off well. And when it is done well, it's just a really good time to watch a well done farce. So I wanted to write something about enjoying life for people to enjoy in their life, and enjoy myself doing it. And now that I've stepped in, it's really just become all of those things. And as far as the storyline goes, taking place on a farm, I suppose there's a good bit of the country mouse, city mouse tropes coming in, but as ridiculous as it is, a lot of the stories are inspired by real life. Like again, not to give away too many spoilers, but there's a storyline concerning some butcher paper wrapped packages that were inspired directly by the time as a city kid I first visited my wife's family farm. So there's a lot of kind of stories from my own life in there, just kind of woven through and woven into a bunch of quirky characters.
And Jason, in terms of the quirky characters you put together quite a cast. I guess because Travis wasn't involved in it, then you were involved in the casting of the play?
Oh yeah, I cast it originally. Yeah. Well, I had help. Actually, I had help from Candace out at Hart, because it's a set of younger actors and a set of older actors. So the older actors that I had couldn't do it. So Candace helped me find Pasquale LaCourte and Pam Elder. They should be familiar with Hart audiences.
Right. And who's the other character in the play?
Blaine Weiss.
Okay.
If anybody's seen Montford in the last seasons, you've seen Blaine as a very comic character. She was in My Little Prince.
Oh, okay.
The Lamplighter. She was in As You Like It as Jacques the Boys.
And especially looking forward to seeing Blaine, because she belongs to a unique club, Jason, of the Blaine Club. So there aren't too many Blaines out there. So when I met Blaine, I was all excited to have her in the play. But that's quite a cast to put together too. And with I know Pasquale's work and I know Pam's work. I mean, that's quite a foursome you have there in terms of the play itself. It should be a lot of fun. How long have you been working on the play so far?
I guess we started it. We started it back in the end of January, beginning of February.
Because people don't realize, and that's why I'm glad you're doing this show, how much time goes into putting on a show that's going to be on for six performances, I think, total?
Yeah.
Is that it? It's just a lot of time and effort for 6 shows.
Yeah.
So
we don't put in enough time sometimes.
What?
But usually it's hopefully on the good side, it's at least 6 weeks.
I was going to say that your point's well taken compared to some other theaters. They work on a show for 3 or 4 months, it seems like. So this you're doing it in 6 weeks to put the show up to it as well.
Yeah. Also, I mean, whereas like the professional theaters, like Itzy Stage, I think Flat Rock, Sart, they put their shows up in like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a long time comparison. Talk also, if you would, Jason, about being at the Fangmeyer. In other words, a lot of people know the main stage, but Fangmeyer's kind of been a neat place to put on shows as well. How do you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I like the Fangmeyer. It's a modular space. I mean, one would call it a black box theater, except for it's not black. But you can set it up in many different ways, and we have set up this production in the round. So that's gonna be fun. It's the first show I've directed in the round since my days at UNCA, and the UNCA theater is in the round, or it originally was. Most of the time they just do it like in a thrust, but it's been fun kind of going back and like exercising those muscles about how we stage things in the round as opposed to like Presidium.
Yeah, and I should say I grew up doing theater in the round for when I was young, and those first roles I had, the community theater I was in was a complete theater in the round, and this is the first time I have done something like that, I guess, in 30 some years. So it's fun to get back to, and if you've never seen a play in the round, especially if you've never seen a farce done in the round, it's just a really good time. With everybody running back and forth on all four corners just around you. I think people are going to really enjoy it.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it. In that I'm used to usually theater and round where people or farces, people running in and out of doors, you know. So here, I guess, Jason, right, there are no doors, so you have to kind of invent the feeling of doors, or at least
well, actually, there are two doors. It's specified specifically in the script for a bit that we won't I won't reveal, but there are two doors.
Oh, okay.
In one of the corners of the stage.
The in terms of theater in the round, you were saying, Travis, you haven't done this for a while. Is that present a particular challenge to you, or how is it different?
Yes, it is. It can be challenging just because there are so many different entrances that are so far away from each other, and that's kind of the fun of it, scrambling, especially in particular mayhem like scene we have in this play, just scrambling to get all around to different entrances, quickly changing costumes. Pretty much the backstage work is almost as fun as the onstage work for this play, but people are just going to have to imagine that what's going on. Somebody described this as the TV show Ghosts meets the play Noises Off. I think there couldn't be a better a better definition of it.
In terms of acting, I'll ask both of you, but Jason first. Do you have preference as to what kind of plays you like doing? I know you've done a lot of stuff at Montfort, of course. I've seen you act in some very serious dramas. Do you have a preference as to comedy, drama, and any preference?
I don't really have a preference as to one over the other. I like them both. I don't. When I do a lot of comedies, like I yearn to do something dramatic so I can sink my teeth in, but I don't want to do dramatic stuff all the time, because that could be oppressive too. Just having to have all that emotion all the time.
I'm trying to think, have I ever seen you in a musical?
No, you won't
No?
see me in a musical. I don't see. You might see me in a musical, but I'll be one of the chorus.
Okay. Travis, have you ever done musicals?
Oh, I have. Long ago, I was in Man of La Mancha. I played the horse's ass. I was
typecast.
Yes, of course. Especially at the time. I played hero in Funny Thing on the Way to the Forum, and that was back when nobody had told me yet that I can't sing. So I was still trying to do that. So luckily I've realized that since, and I haven't really done many musicals. Certainly I haven't infected Asheville with that particular thing. And my wife's not really a fan of musicals. I don't think she would react well to me being in one. So I tend to shy away.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is she involved in this at all?
Outside of helping me learn my lines, the lines that I myself have written, no, she hasn't been too involved, other than the typical giving me up for nearly every evening for the past couple of weeks. So.
And in terms of reading lines, is that something you guys do? Some people, it's interesting. Couples tell me they love doing that. Some couples tell me they hate doing that. Do you like doing it with your wife?
Oh, I love doing it with my wife, and she loves it as well. It's our favorite way to explore a script, especially when you're doing something like Shakespeare, and because you're kind of doing book work at the same time, learning the character and motivations, and looking up some of the more archaic language and trying to make that come across in a modern sense. You learn a lot by running lines, because you're basically doing script analysis. So she loves doing that with me, and I'm glad she does, because it's I need her a lot.
Well,
I rely on that.
I was Jason the same thing too. In terms of learning lines, what's your best way of learning lines?
Oh, it's definitely, for me, it's definitely better to learn lines when there's somebody there to run them with. I can learn them fairly quickly if I'm just repeating them with someone there, like helping me or like giving me feedback. After that, I usually, I mean, it's just their memorization.
Yeah.
Basically, just forcing it in there. Sometimes, if I'm having trouble with some lines, I might write them out several times, and I have recorded lines before and used the recordings, but going over it with the person is probably the best way.
How about in terms of learning lines, Jason? I give you and Travis, all actors, a lot of credit. Are you ever having to do that and doing another play at the same time? Or, I've seen some people actually do three, they're in one, rehearsals for another, starting reading a third. Have you ever had to do multiple times like that?
Every summer at Montfort.
But at Montfort, I guess, right.
Yeah. But I mean, learning lines it's just like exercising. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's just working out your brain. So yeah, the more people always ask, how do you learn so many lines? And it's not that you learn them, you just kind of, they get put in there for a temporary time, and you have access to them. But the more you do it, the easier it is to put it in there and recall.
And Travis, same thing too. Have you ever been involved in doing like two plays at once? Doing one and rehearsal for another?
Yeah, a few times, infrequently, not usually by choice. It can be very, very intense to do two or three shows at a time, and Jason's definitely got me beat on that one. He's the king of doing 3 or 4 shows across just a few months.
And so talk a little bit about too, that if you would, Travis, that this is now what number show that you've actually written?
Well, I write a lot, so I should probably speak in terms of things that have actually been produced to see the light of day. So I think this is probably the 6th full-length play that has been produced of mine, and that's not really counting the short plays or skits that have been done around town in various places that I've contributed to, skit shows or short play shows, that sort of thing. So
Now, have any of them been produced elsewhere?
No. So far, I think the Haywood Arts Regional Theater is the farthest they've reached. So if you're out there and you're outside of Asheville and you're looking for a good play, contact me.
Okay.
But you have had shows produced by the Magnetic Theater and
Right.
Different Strokes.
Yes.
And Montfort.
Yes. Yes, exactly. All of those theaters in town. Yeah, I'm still talking to ACT, so we'll see.
Jason, have you ever written any plays?
No, I haven't. I always say I want to. I have a hard time sitting down and finding the story, like finding the conflict that means. I mean, I can think of like ideas, but then I think of, well, where's the conflict in that? I can't find that. So maybe one day, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
in your spare time, or we can hire Travis. You have the idea. Travis will write it for you. There you go. The details then, guys, if somebody wants to see the show, Recycle Nuts, if you would kind of the specifics, Travis, about seeing in, getting tickets, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So it opens Friday, March 17th, which, as we're recording this, is tomorrow, and it runs through the 26th. So it runs Friday and Saturday evenings at 7:30, and then on Sundays it starts at 2 p.m. And that first Friday opening night and first Sunday, which is going to be the 19th, I will be doing a talk back with the rest of the members of the cast and Jason, if that's something that the audience is interested in, anyone out there is interested in come seeing, talking with the playwright or the cast or directors directly about the play. Come out on the 17th or 19th to come see us.
And do you have handy the website if folks want to get information?
Yeah, the website is hearttheater.org, and it's HART theater.org. And this is part of their studio season, their 2023 studio season. So you can find it on the website there and get tickets there.
Yeah. And so after Recycle Nuts, I'll ask kind of both of you, but Jason, what's on your agenda that you can remember? It's like you're booked up every week, it seems like, but what's upcoming?
I don't have any directing things coming up in the foreseeable future, and I mean, maybe I'll be in a show at Montford, who knows? And I have several lighting designs, including the show that you're producing. So
okay,
yeah.
Great. And Travis, anything upcoming?
Yeah, a play. I'm working on a project with the Sublime Theater right now for a play that I wrote back in 2017 about a blind date in a fancy restaurant that goes into quarantine, which is something that was put on hold for a while for understandable reasons. But that show should be going up at the BB in July. So it's still a little ways off. I can't tell you the exact dates right now, but it should be towards the end of July. Look for my show, Some Notes on Dating During Outbreak.
Okay, should be fun. And how do you get your ideas for shows?
Oh, just watching life, just watching the crazy stuff around me, and interesting situations I put together. I like my shows to have a bit of a message sometimes. So some of my shows are about much heavier themes than this. The last play of mine that went up in Asheville was called Oxalis, and that was about mental health issues. This is a much roaring good time, and while they all have a bit of comedy, this is nothing but comedy. So I think everybody will really enjoy this.
And I'll encourage folks, if they haven't seen it yet, to check out Heart's Facebook page, and that you have one of the great illustrations for the play with Pasquale and Pam with the pitchfork, and it's just seeing that alone makes me want to see the show. So should be a lot of fun. Anyway, I'd like to thank both you guys on short notice here, Jason and Travis, for being my guests on this Blaine's World podcast. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. Hope to see you guys, hopefully, maybe even tonight, and certainly near future. Just whatever you're doing, keep it up, because I love how you entertain me and everybody else in Asheville. So thanks an awful lot, guys.
Thanks, Blaine. We'll see you out at Heart.
Okay, great.